aren't aware of the CAP Awards and you're just joining in for the conversation, welcome. Dina and I, are with Captivate Collective, and every year, I think for the last 3 years, maybe 4 years, Dina, there's been the CAP Awards, which are all about recognizing the great work that happens in the advocacy community. And this is the first year that we've been able to come and partner with Mary to share with our finalists. And today's session is all focused around the partnership between customer success and advocacy. So the category that we're chatting through today is the CS Accelerator Award. And it's really exciting because this is the first year that we've offered this category, because we keep seeing the value of partnering really closely with CS and the value both to advocacy and to customer success when these two teams work really closely together. So we're really excited. We have joining us today Nisarg Mehta from BrowserStack, and we have Gabrielle Herrera from HubSpot joining us today, finalists from the CS Accelerator Award this year, and Nisarg was actually our winner this year. So very excited to have you both here. Fantastic submissions, really excited that you were recognized and that you're taking the time to connect with us today. I also want to give a shout out to Dina Zenek, who is our Chief Client Officer at Captivate Collective and will be leading the roundtable with me today as well. Hi, Dina.
Hey, everyone. I'm actually traveling with my family at the moment, so I'm just beeping in from a Starbucks. So if you see me going on and off of mute, it's because, wow, I guess 11:05 a.m. on a Friday in this town, Starbucks is the place to be. So it's suddenly gotten very busy here, but I'm here and very excited to hop into the conversation today. Thanks for being here, everyone.
Wonderful. Thanks so much. So I actually want to hand it over to our two guests today, our finalists from the CS Accelerator category, and would love just to hear a little bit more about your roles and the work that you do at your respective companies. So Gabrielle, I'll hand it over to you first.
Yeah, hi there, everyone. So I'm Gabrielle. I also go by Gabby. I've been at HubSpot for 3 years now. I started out on our email strategy team, otherwise known as customer and partner communications. And so was very much ingrained with the email and marketing tech teams, and thought a lot about customer data and how do we leverage that to ensure we're sending the right messages to our customers at the right time. And I feel like a lot of that experience is really relevant to my role today, which is community growth. I'm a senior marketing manager for community growth at HubSpot. I joined the community team earlier this year in February, so relative newcomer to community and advocacy, but a long time customer marketer. And so, yeah, I spent a lot of my time thinking about advocacy and how we can scale that and really continue to solve for our customers, as HubSpot is known for. So thanks for having me today.
Thanks, Gabrielle. Thanks for joining us. And Nisar, I would love to hear a little bit more about your role as well.
Perfect. So yes, I've been working at BrowserStack. I'm working as a manager of customer success, and I've also taken over the advocacy function, which was again recently formed. So I think in the start you mentioned that there's a close association between customer success and advocacy. That's true, because I've actually taken over from after CS. I went to customer marketing, then I even took over customer advocacy now. So yes, there is a lot of association between all those teams. And it's been 7 years. I've grown along with the company at BrowserStack. We have learned a lot. Like we proudly say that we connect with over 6 million developers, right, on a daily basis. There are 6 million active developers using BrowserStack on a daily basis. So it's a very big community. People across the globe use BrowserStack, right? While US and Europe are our primary markets, we see kind of 130 plus countries kind of using our products. So the experience has been immense. I've seen the company grow from around 100 people when I joined, 50 to 100 people when I joined, 2,000 plus people. And I've also seen it go from just 3 products to.
I think Nisarg froze there just for a second. We'll just give him a moment there to reconnect. He might just be having connection issues. Is that Liz I see who's just joining us for the conversation today?
Just joining for the conversation. Yeah.
Hi, Liz.
To listen in. Hi.
Hey. Great. Well, I think Nisarg is still frozen, so we'll just give him a few minutes. Hopefully he's able to reconnect.
It's a good
And we
freeze, though. It's a good freeze.
It's
Often
a good freeze.
when I freeze
That
on
is
camera,
true.
there's good freezes and there's not so great freezes.
No, there's
It's a good one.
unfortunate ones, but no, this is okay. I hope he's able to rejoin and maybe continue our chat. But um, great to hear from.
Oh,
Oh, are
there's
you
our
back?
back.
I think he's back.
You're back. Okay, you froze just as you were telling us the number of products has grown at BrowserStack.
Yes, sorry. So yes, I was saying that we've grown from like 3 products to 15 plus products now. So it's been a very crazy journey. And I remember in the initial few years, we didn't even have a dedicated sales team. Most of the growth was happening through our customers. And now I can confidently say, I think that has kind of made us a customer-centric and a customer-obsessed organization. And advocacies are the forefront of everything that we do. So yeah, glad to be here with the team and looking forward to the session.
Awesome. Thanks so much for that background. It's great to hear both of your perspectives. I think are going to lend to a really great conversation. And I know for the people that are here today and for anyone who's going to tune into the recording as well, really, really looking forward to all the learnings that we're really thankful that you're able to share with us today. So I'd love to start off with a bit of a discussion around why it's so important from your perspective for customer success professionals, the role that they play, that active role they play in securing customer advocacy. So, from your perspective, would love to hear your thoughts on that and would love to hear from both of you, and we can have a bit of a conversation around it as well.
So yeah, I can go first. So what I think is customer CSMs, right, play a very active role in managing the customer relationships. They are present throughout the customer life cycle. So right from the sign up till the renewal, they are attached to a customer and they're the dedicated kind of go-to person for the customer. Like they act as a trusted advisor. So because they are present at every single point in time, and while there are different teams which might come and go, there might be sales, there might be engineering, there might be technical support who come and go. There might be product marketing, other functions as well. But CSMs are going to work with the customers throughout their life cycle, right from the very beginning. And which is why they are the go-to person, go-to people for the customer, and it's very and they know exactly what the customer priorities are. They know exactly what the customer pain points are. They know what's the perfect time to introduce various advocacy initiatives, and what is the right advocacy initiative for the customer, right? Because what I've seen, right, there are customers who are not able to give us case studies. They have certain
Right.
legal limitations, right? But they can still give us a review on one of the review platforms, and they can be anonymous, right, and still kind of promote, evangelize about our brand. So CSMs, because they understand the pains of the customer very well and are present throughout, they should actively promote advocacy, and because they know what is the right advocacy initiative for every customer.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I know even before I joined Captivate, when I was managing my own advocacy program as well, just having a really strong connection with CS and having regular meetings with CS to understand which customers were really poised for advocacy and how to make some of those introductions is super valuable, just building that relationship. And Gabrielle, I'd love to hear from your perspective as well when you layer community into that and how that also impacts it.
Yeah, definitely. So I would echo a lot of what Nisarg shared with CS, just really being in the know and having that unique perspective on the customer challenges and like in turn the customer's unique perspective on how to use the product, right? We hear that often in community that yes, the knowledge base is helpful or this resource is great, but they really want to hear specifically how Bianca's using it or how Dina's using it because they're working in that same vertical maybe, or they're hitting a like very specific challenge that isn't maybe as clear in the standard wonderful but like somewhat standard and vague technical writing of a knowledge base. When it comes to community, that's part of HubSpot's scaled CS efforts. I mentioned earlier, I have a marketing manager title, but I technically sit in the CS org. And so I think that's fun that I get to flex in between those two different roles. And so I found that scaled usually means stripping away the human element. But with CS, being part of community and being part of advocacy, we're able to keep that human element and not just automate everything away. Yes, there is a time and place for integrating generative AI or data scrapers, to make our processes more efficient and easier for those handoffs with our friends in the CSM role. But we can really lean on them to keep that human interaction. Customers are more likely to respond when an email comes from a person, not like an automated alias, right? And then again, we see that in community where, as I shared earlier, yes, the knowledge base and those resources from the company are helpful, but it's really, again, bringing back that human element in and talking to a peer, talking to a person, talking to another community user that our customers are able to find success and are willing to share their success.
I love that, Gabby. Let me ask you and Nisarg a question here. You both have such interesting roles because you're well embedded in the CS function inside your organizations, but also have working knowledge and understanding and expertise in the realm of customer advocacy. In the circles that you run in, whether that's inside your organization and the CSMs who are your colleagues inside your organization or inside the professional communities that you are likely a part of outside of work, how familiar are CSMs with the best practices of customer advocacy? Like if you think of the basics of customer advocacy, that kind of like, finding customers, nurturing the relationship, and then calling them to action around something that's important to the business. How familiar are CSMs with those kind of fundamental basics of how to do customer advocacy?
That's a great question. I would say that CSMs are familiar with what I would consider the advocacy that's pulled in at the sales motion. So the reference programs, those kind of webinars where you have an advocate speaking on there. But they seem to be less aware of the evergreen or ongoing programs like, okay, how do we sustain this and how do we keep that? And so it's something that we're working on even internally here at HubSpot is making, again, community, but also advocacy as part of that a habit and not having it be a point in time resource of, oh, you have a specific question, go here. Or, oh, you're specifically looking for community. Yes, we have that, but I don't know much about it. We're evolving that to make it a habit and a go-to destination with, federated search coming and all those fun features. That way it is the home of, we call it the success center here at HubSpot. And so really making that a centralized function. That way CSMs can see that as a habit in the regular ongoing program.
Thank you for that. Nisarg?
Sure. So I think the importance of advocacy is increasing every day. Right from when we sign a deal. Now I'll give you a very classic example, what I've started seeing across the industry. A lot of agreements, especially enterprise level agreements, right, or MSAs when they are signed, they have a clause for advocacy, which means companies might even offer a discount, a substantial discount, if you're willing to give a case study to them, right? So I'm increasingly seeing that even right from the very beginning, especially for bigger deals or enterprise accounts, those advocacy is part of the MSA. It is part of the initial contracts that are being signed. So right from the very beginning, I feel that advocacy plays a very important role. Even when it comes to CS, they are aware someone is signed up for a case study. They are aware of the advocacy promises or commitments that the customer has signed up for. And they know that there's other deliverables throughout the year that they have to kind of chase and work along with the customer to kind of get them in place. So I think the importance is definitely increasing day by day. That's just one of the examples. But I think the awareness is growing, and not just in customer success, but across different functions within the company.
Got it. Thank you. Yeah. So what I'm hearing is there is almost like a tactical awareness and leverage of customer advocacy in that with CSMs and the CS function. So, you know, whether that's reacting to the needs of the customer advocacy or community function, or making use of those terms that are sometimes written into contracts, and then playing that role of having the customers deliver on that commitment that they stated in the contract. Super interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, that is super, super interesting to call out. There is that upfront, almost like part of the transaction of calling out, you know, the benefit of the discount or something for that advocacy in return. And then when I think about CS as well, there's that whole nurture element because they have this ongoing relationship with the account, and they're able to follow them through that life cycle. There is that upfront, you know, conversation around, you know, a case study or being a reference, but then also continuing to build that relationship. Have you seen, you know, CS really lean into that role as well?
So a lot of times what happens is now the role of CS is different in different companies, right? Some of them are revenue focused, some of them are let's say value focused,
Right.
right? So I've seen the CS role evolve over the last 7 years, right? I've worked with several CSMs, like probably like close to 200 plus CSMs in the last 7 years, right? And like probably kind of connected with several more. So the role constantly keeps changing. And based on the priorities of the company, based on the business goals, I think it's all kind of decided by the upper management at a strategic level of how much importance you want to give to advocacy. Like for us, for BrowserStack, it is P0. I mean, every even in our internal newsletters, you will see which comes on a monthly basis. You will see reviews from testimonials from our customers. You will see a customer video. So it all kind of depends on the business goals and the strategic initiatives that the company is driving, and like the different outcomes they expect from the customer success team.
Yeah. For us, it's all about that nurture and just product adoption, right? Unique challenge. Maybe it's not so. I draw a lot of inspiration from B2C, even though I'm in B2B tech. And I've been thinking about this a lot actually with product adoption, that it's a unique problem for us. And I think it's really not. That even on the consumer side, there is an adoption element there. But for CSMs, yeah, that's a big part of the nurture is driving that adoption and usage. And so I've been working lately with my peers, the CSMs, to almost be informed of what are the biggest pain points, what are the hurdles. A lot of our advocates are content creators, or they want to answer questions around specific things or specific topics or features. So if I can increase that line of increase that line of communication with our CSM, say, hey, there's a trend that we're not fully landing adoption of this tool, then I can leverage my advocates, say, hey, let's create content around this tool, or what is your use case for using this? What's your favorite or underrated feature of that? And so I see the nurture in that way, just being able to communicate, have that through line from the customer to the CSM to us on community to our community advocates and creators, and then have that all cycle through and get back to the customer who needs that support.
Yeah, no, that's great. And you both sit within CS organizations. So, the mandate there is really around retention and adoption. How do you go about finding those advocates within the customers that you're working with and really focus on that advocacy piece?
So I think that's a great question. I think the easiest way to do that, right? When someone signs up, I think there's a lot of excitement. The customers are or users are primed to try the product, and that's essentially where the CSM team can help them. It all starts with onboarding. Make them use the product, make them see the value immediately, reduce the time to value, reach the aha moment pretty quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you do that, right, when customers are excited about the product and you are kind of helping them kind of get there quickly, right, they do reciprocate. So anyone I remember this very clearly, right? I've handled onboarding by myself. There were a lot of customers who achieved their aha moment, and they are still connected with me, right? Because customers love to reciprocate. So what I would kind of focus on is uh, give them, show the value, showcase, help them kind of realize the value very early in the journey with you, right? And when they see it, um, they will definitely kind of engage more with you, and they'll become customers for life. So don't wait for like a perfect moment. Just start it, like do it from the very beginning.
Thanks. Yeah. Gabby, how about you?
I mean, he really hit the nail on the head. I don't have much else to add to that, but I guess if I had to add anything else on the subject of like reciprocity,
Mm-hmm.
it's not just in the advocacy. We see it a lot like within our own ecosystem, which I think is really special. Like we see a lot of our champions start out, that's what we call our advocates as champions. And we see them start out on the community forums because they're looking for a solution. Like they themselves are kind of at the beginning of their journey or they're stuck, right? And so they're going to the community for support and they're maybe interacting with another champion. Then I've had many of them tell me this, they get that dopamine hit almost that when they solve it or they're helped and they're encouraged to reciprocate that and answer other questions, they're then motivated to go complete a certificate or a course on our HubSpot Academy and our customer education platforms. So then that's also helping drive adoption because they're able to take those resources, even if it's not directly tied to a feature, it could be more of a topic like social media management, for example, or Gen AI. So they're able to take those learnings, feed it into their day to day, and then it's still maybe not the literal reciprocity of advocacy, but it's still this circular motion that I think is really special.
I
I
love
love
that.
what you
And oh, go
I love
ahead,
it.
Dave. You both
I love
love
it
it. You
too.
both love it.
I love the way you put that. That really stuck with me, that dopamine hit.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it just, it brought to mind for me that when it comes to customer advocacy, it's about figuring out what motivates your customers, your unique customers, as a set and as individuals to deepen their relationship with you and to want to do more, to want to reciprocate um, with your organization. So for you, Gabby, having that understanding, like, hey, like there is something here, and then picking away at it, and then figuring out more deeply what it is. We call those intrinsic motivators. So there's the intrinsic motivators, that come from within, like what is this person really looking for deep down in their interactions, and then the extrinsic motivators, like, hey, what can we layer on top? Like, what's the little kind of sugar on top that we can add here, whether that's through some gifting or other sort of incentive for people to participate in advocacy. So I love that. Just that's what I love. Bianca, what did you love?
Well, I love that too, but what I was going to call out was just this idea of like community and education really going hand in hand. And then you have advocacy and customer success. But then all of these, it just creates this ecosystem where customers can really come and learn from each other and network and help each other just, solve problems and then contribute and give back to that. Like, I just think that's really cool when that all comes together because it's not just these standalone efforts, like it's not siloed, but it's really something that you can see the benefit and how customers can engage with it. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a fun place to be in. And Dina, you brought up motivators. One of the surprising discoveries I found when I surveyed some of our new champions that onboarded in like Q3 of this year. I asked them directly what motivated them, and I was fully expecting swag to be the number one answer because I feel like that's often associated with advocacy, right? And I'm wearing my own swag right now, right? But a lot of us do like that swag, sport the sprocket, if you will. And not a single person that I interviewed was motivated by swag. Like maybe it was brought up later in the conversation, maybe because it was sort of a given. I don't know now that I'm talking out loud, but they truly were most motivated by the community aspect and being able to help their peers and like being part of a community and part of an ecosystem. And that does extend to their CS reps. That does extend to the HubSpot personas. I feel like if you follow anyone on LinkedIn that's HubSpot, you probably follow like Kyle Jepsen, who's the like big person you see all over there. But there's these, personalities. Maybe they're not even HubSpotters. They could be our solutions partners or like the community champions themselves. People are motivated by that, not the swag, which I'm sure my manager loves hearing when it's time to do budgets.
It's so interesting because, when we talk about advocacy programs, one of the first things is always, research your audience, know your customers, what are they motivated by? And whenever we do that research, we always are, we're always surprised by what we learn because you have these, you have a hypothesis about what you think customers are motivated by. So I love that you went through that exercise, and sometimes it is just having that visibility in that platform, or it's the community, or it's getting that, level of access that, other customers wouldn't have. Swag and merch is always fun for sure. But it's, interesting to hear really what your customers and advocates are most interested in. Nisarg, I'd love to hear on your side, the customers that you work with at Browser Stack, what in particular are they motivated by?
So I think that like I'll probably kind of answer it in two parts. One is what Dina earlier mentioned about intrinsic motivation, right? And I have to break down intrinsic motivation for our customers. One is I give them enough enablement. I give them enough enablement from as a part of the customer success team. So they fall in love with a product. They know they are able to achieve success using a product, right? But at the same time, also give them enough autonomy to do what they want, right? To work towards a goal that they have. So giving them all the necessary enablement to master the tool, one, and two is um, giving them enough autonomy to still kind of hit those milestones by themselves are those driving factors which build the intrinsic motivation that Dina spoke about. For my at least that's how I think about our customers kind of being driven by intrinsic motivation. The second thing that we have experimented in the past is we don't have an active referral program, but in the past tried with offering incentives to our customers, that maybe a $100 incentive to refer someone, and then if they sign up, and then we have experimented with different versions of it. Unfortunately, they've not been very much. I mean, they have not been incentivized by the free vouchers or the certain dollar value attached to it. However, when we changed our referral program or tweaked it to offer the benefit to the receiver rather than the sender, right? We saw an uptake in the benefit. I mean, in the number of referrals that we were getting. So what we realized, I think it's the reputational benefits that the customers care more about, at least for the segment I'm catering to rather than the monetary benefits that we were giving them. So that's another kind of observation that we had.
That's super interesting, Nisarg. Are you able to share what that incentive was to the receiver?
The incentive, again, it was like a similar $100 incentive that the receiver would get, but instead of the sender, we changed it to the receiver.
Yeah. So the person who has been referred.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
super interesting. Okay.
That is interesting. Yeah, it's flipping it. And sometimes you do,
Okay,
you know,
yeah.
you flip the process around, and that, you know, coming from a learning of, you know, giving it to the sender and not seeing as much engagement there. But when you send it to the prospect in this case, who is referred, that's really interesting. This is why we always talk about research and how it's so important. And even just iteration too. Like there's the research up front, and then once you go through and you test things out, learning from that. I think it's great that even in CS, there are these learnings on how to better engage and better nurture and build those relationships with customers, or even the referrals as well.
Yeah, and speaking of relationships, that relationship between the CS org and advocacy is really the topic at hand here. So for Gabby and Nisarg, what efforts have you been involved in personally to build that collaboration, to be that bridge between CS and advocacy?
Well, there's been a lot that's been going on this year, which is very exciting. But specifically for like the relationship between CS and advocacy, and specifically community, because that's the function that I'm in. I think what has been the most important, and maybe not the most exciting, or splashy, to share externally or even on an internal wiki, has been just transparent communications. On the whole, we have a very transparent communication culture at HubSpot, and there's tons of resources that you can go for information. Sometimes there's almost information overload and you don't know where to look, right? So it's been really nailing down what are the right channels and who are the right people to talk to make them aware, and who can be kind of our internal advocates of our own advocacy program and bringing that in. Because when I came over to the community team earlier this year, even myself, having been a customer marketer, I was like, yes, community, and they do their thing, and it lives here. And so now that I'm fully ingrained, it's nice to have that person to see both sides of it, to have been on the side of, I know it exists, but I don't totally have an understanding and I don't need to wanting to be shouting it from the rooftops and kind of doing it virtually in that regard. So I would say it's the most important thing has been figuring out the communication lines, knowing where, and same is true for advocates, but knowing the channels that they're in, the right way to message to them. It's marketing 101, but we had to start there for sure.
Great. And I've like again, there are multiple initiatives that I've been a part of. To talk about a few, right? So one classic example is as a part of the CS team, we have been able to generate a lot of customer reviews on various platforms, review platforms that we use. Now, because we know we talk to our customers on a regular basis, we have multiple touch points and check-ins with the customers. It is very easy to slip in a request asking for a review. So that's one of the initiatives. Like it could be on our QBRs, monthly kind of business review meetings, quarterly business review meetings, or it can even be a part of the webinars that we do. Right, and we see a lot of interest. I've seen on an average when we do a webinar, there are at least around 10 to 15 reviews that we get from a single kind of event. We recently did one last month. Again, there's a lot of participation in our webinars. You can imagine, like initially I spoke about the number of users using Browser Stack. So that is one channel. Another thing that I've done is we also have something called as a test university, and uh, we encourage our users to kind of get certified. So on most of the enterprise accounts, you'll see at least 5 users on an account are certified, and they openly kind of brag about it on various social media platforms, which again kind of acts as like a branding kind of for our company, right? They're promoting a brand across different social media channels while they brag about their accomplishments, right? So we actively encourage them to kind of get certified. There are various learning paths and certifications available on our test university that that we have built. Um, Another thing is we actively contribute to our newsletters as well. So a lot of times, again, both we have internal and external newsletters, and now we have also started occasionally publishing newsletters on LinkedIn. It's called the Quality Loop. So I think we have started contributing to newsletters as well. We talk about the use cases, we talk about the success stories, um, right? And we put our customer at the forefront. So I think those are some of the initiatives that we've been working on. And yes, we it works both ways. I mean, we get a lot of information or support from the advocacy team or the marketing teams as well. Um, like, um, uh, for example, they have helped us. Like on an average, we get 100 to 200 reviews every month across different review platforms, which is a great number, right? A lot of them are even organic. So, and there are a lot of fundraisers, or I would say people who are interested in being advocates for us. So they have been able to kind of help us build a database of referenceable customers. So the marketing team is very active on the forefront. We have, I mean, I at least remember in the last 1 year, like more than 100 kind of people just came from those campaigns that the marketing was running. So it works two ways.
I feel like we could have a whole other conversation just hearing about all the ways you're driving that many reviews, especially coming from the webinars piece. I think that's a tactic that, is sounds like it's been really successful for you. So it's great to hear all the different benefits, though, that you've seen from running the initiatives that really touch both advocacy and CS. That's great.
Yeah.
Should we open it up for some Q&A?
Yes, let's open it up for Q&A.
Let's do it. We've got Jenny, we've got Elizabeth, we've got Mary and Liz. Anyone have any questions for Gabby or Nisarg?
I'll jump in. So, Nisarg, I'm curious, this was a little bit ways back in the conversation, but you had mentioned how you include things in MSAs and order forms in terms of like, really asking people to, either they get a discount or it's kind of one of your ways that you kind of try to guarantee that advocacy activity as they join on with you and things like that. How successful have you found that to be in terms of like the follow through with that? I'm just curious.
So I think that's a great question. In most cases, what has happened is like I mentioned, the customer success rep is also made aware of the commitments, the advocacy commitments in the MSA from the
Mm,
get-go. And so they ensure that whatever commitment the customer has made are delivered within the next 1 year.
okay.
And in most cases, it does happen. If not, what I've also seen happening is the same commitments are carry forward to the next year's MSA or contract in case they are not fulfilled in the previous year.
Nice. And I guess I'm just asking from my perspective because I know that we have put them in order forms before and they don't come to fruition based on a number of different factors. Either they're not ready when we hope that they are ready to kind of talk about their success, or something happens along the way, or it lands on myself or the CSM, or that you're trying to pull back in the AE or what have you. And I guess I was just curious how you've overcome some of the obstacles maybe of getting those done and over the finish line. So
Sure. So I think that the common obstacles, like let's say we are working with a certain set of champions or that we have created over a period of time, and they have made certain commitments, advocacy commitments to us. But probably kind of they have moved out, the leadership has changed, or there's some, organizational changes that happen. And probably the new bunch is not aware of, the commitments that were previously made, which is certainly challenging because first you have to kind of educate them that, okay, this were the commitments that were made, right? And
Right.
then they have to accept it again that, okay, like now they have to kind of, take it ahead. They'll have to kind of, probably give us a case study if that was something that was already kind of put on contract. Right. So I think those are some tricky conversations or challenging kind of conversations to have, because to find the new stakeholder who will kind of take it ahead sometimes uh, becomes slightly difficult. And
Hmm.
there might be some cases where uh, there are some unfulfilled commitments as well, right? But like I said, I think we do bring it up during the next year's contract that, okay, these are the unfulfilled commitments.
Hmm.
And I think most of them have been kind of because we kind of apprise them of this pretty early before the contract ends. So I think they are kind of cognizant about the fact that, okay, maybe this gets pushed to another year. Maybe we are not ready because we just took over, but maybe next year we might be in a better shape to kind of take it ahead.
Nice. That's great. Thanks for sharing. It's just always good to hear from others how they deal with that. So that's great.
I mean, I have some other questions, but I also want to give it to the group, give everyone a chance if they do have anything they want to ask. Oh, we got a question from Jenny in the chat. So, what advocacy trends are you looking forward to in 2025? Great question, Jenny.
I'll give Nisarg a break since he just gave that wonderful, long, thorough example. I shared earlier that I get inspired by the B2C side of things and how they do advocacy efforts. And so one trend that I've been reading about, or prediction, I guess I should say, is the niche influencer, if you will, or the not the expected, the kind of average Joe. And so really kind of highlighting those average people and really making them the shining stars and advocates. This year for our inbound conference, if you're familiar with HubSpot's inbound, it's our annual conference that runs for 3 days with lectures and seminars and product announcements and all sorts of fun stuff. We have a delight moment for our advocates where we bring, I think this year we brought 66 was the final number, but somewhere around there. We give them a free ticket to come to inbound, and we gave them very minimal guardrails. And we said, hey, come hang out with us, come be part of it. You're a great member of our community. We'd love to have you there. Post a little bit, but we didn't give them any specifics around what to post or what sessions to go to or anything like that. We wanted them to still get value out of it. And that was a little bit of a shift from how we had run the program last year or in previous years, where yes, it was focused on visibility and social media impressions, but this year we really kind of wanted to highlight the community user and like the community. And so I'm excited to see how we can incorporate that on our B2B side and how we'll continue to tweak that experience for inbound, especially as we're headed to San Francisco for 2025. That'll be new and different for us. But I would say that the trend that I'm closely following and excited about is just really making the smaller, the niche, the kind of average, unexpected user or customer being the like advocate and the hero.
I think that's a really cool take, because we see a lot of programs where it's like elevating the elite, or it's focused on an exclusive group of, very influential people within a community. And, there's definitely a time and a place for showcasing that kind of success as well. But I love also the opening it up and giving that opportunity to the average user. It feels very attainable to see yourself in them and say, hey, like I could also share my experience. Everyone's got value to add. And I think that's great to surface, maybe all the learnings that a power user in the day-to-day has, but doesn't typically get that opportunity. I think that's cool to bring up that B2C influencer angle with that as well. Very cool.
Sure. Uh, and like there are two trends that I'm particularly interested in. A lot of the advocacy tools, review platform is one of the channels or platforms that we use, but the multiple tools that are used for various purposes. Now, there are tools for which are used for customer references. There are tools that are used for reviews. There are tools used for case studies. The multiple channels. What I'm expecting from those tools or platforms is a tighter integration with AI, and seeing how it can amplify the voice of the customers. So I see AI as a big trend, even in advocacy.
Yeah.
So that's one of the trends that I'm particularly excited about. The second thing I'm excited about is about having all-in-one platforms or tools, right, that take care of multiple things, like probably the same tool kind of capturing NPS. Um, when you get a positive review or NPS, the same tool being used for asking for a review. When you get a positive review, the same tool probably being asking for a case study, uh, right, or a quote from the customer. Um, so I think it all, or probably asking them to be kind of reference customers. So the interconnectedness of different platforms, or something as similar, as simple as someone going on a review platform, the same person being targeted through multiple channels, probably advertisements as well, on different platforms, using user intent data very actively, and using multiple platforms to kind of bring things together. So the interconnectedness of all these platforms is something that I'm looking forward to as well.
Yeah, so it's that idea of life cycle advocacy where you are, meeting your customers where they are at different points of their journey and then setting up the triggers to be able to say, you got a positive, CSAT, or they left, a review, and then you can follow up with them. I think that, yeah, that's definitely top of mind. And then AI, of course, there's so much that can be done with AI. We're just scratching the surface. Are you using AI right now in your work with your customers? Or are you incorporating that at all?
I think we do use AI, but it's fairly limited when it comes to advocacy at this point.
Mhm.
But I mean, internally, all our products use a lot of AI. Uh,
Right.
Browser products use a lot of AI. Eventually, I think, but here's the cool thing, and we have set up an AI team within BrowserStack, so which is going to work with respective functions, and try and identify opportunities to use AI in to automate or improve the day-to-day activities they're doing. So this is a new internal initiative that we are kind of running right now. So hopefully when it's time for advocacy, there'll be more advancements kind of coming, more help that we'll be getting from AI.
Very cool that you have that internal focus with the team dedicated to that as well. Great.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, that
Ah,
I haven't seen a whole lot of AI applications specifically to advocacy yet. It's something that I'm also trying to solve for and looking forward to in 2025. But yeah, we certainly use internal tools for AI, and gosh, we just announced an AI acquisition earlier today, actually, for HubSpot, which I'm very much looking forward to seeing how that comes to life and how I could potentially apply it to advocacy. So, yeah, I would love to continue this conversation to hear how others may be using AI for advocacy, because I haven't seen a whole lot of it yet.
yeah, and I imagine 2025 is going to be we'll definitely start hearing more about it, and there will be more conversations about that as well. I have one question to wrap us up with. I would love to hear from you both. You've done such a great job of working customer advocacy into customer success, what would be like a no-brainer reason that you would share with, other CS professionals about why they really should integrate customer advocacy into their work and their practice?
So I think one reason that I would encourage everyone to especially CSMs to kind of use advocacy as a strong uh, weapon is rather that a lot of times, especially for product companies, in the future, I don't see a lot of product or feature differentiation kind of being like a big game changer, because especially for tech companies, launching a product, especially competitors are getting aggressive. So launching a new feature or a tool is not very difficult, especially when it's like more to do with like tools or software. But the relationship aspect, your advocates are kind of the true kind of game changers. They'll stick to you. And a very good example and is we also have a very strong community, and every time we try to, I said we went from 3 products to 15 plus products. Most of our products are low friction products. So, and we try to make it low friction products. So it's like plug and play, people can come and use it. A community. So we also heavily focus on CLG motion, which is community led growth. So we have a lot of advocates within the community. I believe we have at least close to 2,000 active advocates who promote representing like 2,000 plus companies, and they actively promote our products. They are the innovators, they are the early adopters of our products, and they actively promote. So every time we have a new product, I think they kind of just take it ahead, uh, do the marketing for us in their companies, right? So advocacy plays a very important and crucial role for us, at least as a company. And yes, I think relationships and advocacy is going to play a big role, because as product and feature differentiations kind of vanish or become increasingly challenging, um, uh, it, advocacy is definitely going to be the X factor your company can have.
Yeah, I love it. X factor. How about you, Gabby?
It's funny because I just spent the last couple of minutes talking about how excited I was for AI and how I wanted to incorporate AI. But when I think about the no-brainer, I think what's old is new. And I think people like to hear the perspectives of their peers, not just the brand. I mean, you can see that ironically, even with the AI search engine result page, you get forums like Reddit showing up at the top, right? Not the brand's
Yeah.
pay-per-click ads even. And so that is what I would say is my like mic drop, if you will, like no brainer. Like people like hearing the perspectives of their peers. That community element drives and harnesses passions. You find your people, you find your tribe, and you trust that. You call your mom or your spouse or your friend to get their recommendation for something for a product for your home. You're doing the same thing for your tech stack, for your tools, for your business. And so that concept of word of mouth and what's old is new, running alongside the AI is what I would say is the reason to get involved with advocacy and have that be part of your day-to-day for sure.
Love that. Yeah, very well put. Okay, we're almost at time. Dina, is there anything you want to add just to wrap us up today?
No, all that I would add is this is just such a fascinating area of conversation as we see that crossover between advocacy and customer success more and more. The remit of customer success professionals expanding to encompass customer advocacy or customer advocacy motions, best practices, the internal collaboration of customer advocacy professionals with their CS award, as folks who are, sitting in customer advocacy are getting more traction when it comes to life cycles engagement and mapping that advocate life cycle engagement to the customer journey map. It's just so fascinating. This conversation has been super interesting. Both of your remits are so unusual and interesting, and the knowledge that you brought to the table today is well received, and we hope to continue these conversations out there in the virtual spaces that we occupy. And thank you to Mary and our guests for having us here today. Great conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was wonderful to have you both. And thanks, Mary,
Thank
as
you
well
all.
for hosting.
You too. You did a great job, Bianca. You're very good at this.
It's easy when we've got such knowledgeable guests to just carry the conversation. I feel like I could learn so much from you. So thanks, everybody. And we will be back with another conversation from our CAP Award winners in January, on January
Next
10th.
year.
Next year, it's going to,
Yeah.
a month from now, we'll be in 2025. So looking forward to that. Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Have a good weekend.
Thanks for
Take
having
care.
us.
Bye.
Bye.